Hello there, my name is Triple S, and in this video I'm going to point-by-point breakdown and review Season 1, Episode 6 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Let's begin. Point number 1. This episode is almost entirely brand new scenes made for the show, which makes sense since after the trial the rest of the Hedge Knights can fit on 2.5 A4 pages. And in my opinion, every new scene fits perfectly, and actually makes me wonder why George R.R. Martin didn't include equivalent scenes in the Hedge Knights. Like, why didn't we have any mention of Dunk visiting those who fought for him, both living and dead, to thank them again? I mean, I know he didn't have as close a connection with any of them in the Hedge Knight like he did in the show, but he could have at least still said goodbye to Raymond, who drank and chatted with him and risked his life more than anyone else for Dunk in the joust. Point number 2. Okay, first, was not expecting to hear jazz of all things in an episode of this show, and second, definitely was not expecting a Tarantino trunk shot. Absolute cinema. Point number 3. Like the subtle reference here to Dunk being an ancestor of Brienne of Tarth, which I went into in my video on the last episode, with Lionel asking him if he's ever been to Tarth. Point number 4. I'm not surprised Dunk's wounds are beyond this maester's abilities, since he thinks blowing incense into Dunk's face is going to do him any good. Paul Murphy, who plays the maester, hams it up as well, digging and twisting his finger in Dunk's wound before sniffing it. Either meaning Dunk's wound is so bad he didn't feel the maester's finger, or his actor Peter Claffey didn't know Paul was going to do that, and so didn't know he would need to react. Point number 5.
Be gone, witch.
Be gone, thought!
Point number 6. Not only does Lionel leave out Robin Riesling, but the entire episode does as well. No one mentions him and we don't see him at all. So, was this actually Robin Riesling, or was it really the Norse god Odin? Odin, disguising himself as a one-eyed knight to participate in this trial of 7 before disappearing back to Asgard. I joke, but you've got to admit they are pretty similar. Point number 7. I like Lionel calling out the hypocrisy of Baelor joining the trial, knowing 3 of his opponents are sworn to protect him. Since, as I mentioned in my last video, in the Hedge Knights it was actually Lionel, not Robin, who questioned Baelor about joining the joust, knowing the Kingsguard won't hurt him. Point number 8. I think with this conversation, Dunk comes to realise while Lionel is a friend, he isn't a good friend. He says he fought for Dunk, but we know that he also fought because it's the first trial of 7 in 100 years, and he wanted to beat the shit out of the Kingsguard. In fact, only Baelor fought only because he believed in Dunk. Harding fought for revenge, Beesbury fought because he's Harding's brother-in-law, Robin fought because the crown went against the gods, and Raymond fought because he was mad at his cousin for betraying him and Dunk. So, because of Baelor's belief in him and sacrifice for him, and because Egg is also a Targaryen, Dunk and Lionel will never be able to get along so long as Lionel despises Targaryens. There's also the little moments that show Lionel isn't that great a friend, not taking the maester seriously about Dunk's potentially mortified wounds, pushing himself up using Dunk's leg, saying he'll hate Dunk if he doesn't come to Storm's End with him, and not giving Dunk one of these nifty looking antler crutches, which looks a lot more comfortable and easier to use than the big ass stick Dunk's currently using. Point number 9. At the roast, we see Maekar, Egg, Valar, Manfred Dondarrion, Roland Crakehall, Donald of Duskendale, and the Ashford Septon. Next to Valar, the pink-haired woman, is his wife, Kira of Tyrosh, played by Tamara Chanel White, as confirmed by a post she made to her Twitter account. The identities of everyone else is unknown, and in my opinion, I don't think all of the white-haired attendees are Targaryens. Though possibly they could be dragon seeds, or maybe the 2 people next to Egg and Maekar are just old people with white hair. Also, I don't think that only being Roland and Donald here is any indication that Willem Wilde died during the trial of 7. And rather than being too injured to attend Baelor's funeral, I think he's just guarding the bedridden Aerion. Because if Willem was also bedridden, then only one Kingsguard would be here with the second non-injured Kingsguard left at Ashford to protect Aerion. Point number 10. Show Valar comes across as less hostile here speaking to Dunk compared to Novella Valar. Valar actor Oscar Morgan even mentions this in the video A Night in the Making episodes 4 to 6 on the Game of Thrones YouTube channel.
Obviously did the Valar scene. He's just lost his father and he's completely out at sea and lost. But I didn't actually see any full scripts until the table read. I think I was struck by how different it was to how I'd expected it to be.
The show-only dialogue of Valar wondering how many fathers have died in their son's armour, I feel as to make Valar come across as more depressed than angry. Point number 11. I've seen a lot of people come to the conclusion that Red is actually tricking Raymond and making him a cuckold in the biological sense, in that she's actually pregnant with the child of Manfred Dondarrion and will be able to trick Raymond into thinking the kid is his because if the kid ends up having red hair, it can be explained because she has red hair. With Raymond being a fan favourite, this has resulted in a lot of people becoming mad at the writers and mad at the character of Red for doing this to Raymond. In my opinion though, with Red being a prostitute, she would know how to not get pregnant, either via natural or medicinal means such as moon tea. I mean, if she didn't, then she wouldn't be that great a prostitute then, would she? I don't think she's pregnant with Manfred's kid. I just think she's lying about her past as a prostitute and that she's already pregnant with Raymond's kid. Well, lying that she knows 100% that she's pregnant with his kid, she very well may be pregnant from him, it's just, she can't know for certain. And neither can Raymond, so he's taking Red's word that she is, maybe because he's not that knowledgeable of how pregnancies work, or because he wants her to be pregnant, so he's going along with her saying that she definitely knows she is, and that it's going to be a boy. Also, if you're going to hate on Red for lying about her past so that she can have a better future, then you should also be hating on Dunk for potentially doing the exact same thing. But more on that later. Point number 12. Talk about ride or die. Raymond was actually willing to put himself between Dunk and soldiers sent by Maekar with a royal summons. Raymond could have been sent to the dungeons or even killed for doing that, yet he did it anyway. What a Chad. Point number 13. While the conversation between Dunk and Maekar is pretty much the same here as it is in the novella, it actually happens at Dunk's camp rather than in Ashford Castle. Though that's only a minor change. The major change is Dunk in the Hedge Knight doesn't turn down having Egg continue to squire for him. In the novella, Dunk immediately accepts, but only if he continues being a Hedge Knight with Egg travelling with him. So between Maekar making the offer and Dunk finally accepting it in this episode, it's all brand new show only scenes. Point number 14. Besides the Dunk and Egg novellas and the World of Ice and Fire, the village of Pennytree has only ever been mentioned in one other book, A Dance with Dragons, Book 5 of A Song of Ice and Fire. And in A Dance with Dragons, whilst staying at Pennytree, Jaime Lannister notices an old oak in the village with pennies nailed into it. There were so many pennies he couldn't count them without losing count, and Jaime decides not to ask about it since it would spoil the mystery. Well, in this flashback of Arlen and Dunk, we at last learn that it was tradition for Pennytree residents going to war to nail a penny to the tree and then remove it when they return home. I wonder, later when we see Dunk knock the penny from his sword into the tree at his camp, is he doing that for Arlen or for himself? Point number 15. With Dunk asking Arlen why he never knighted him and then Arlen dying, does that then mean this entire time Dunk hasn't actually been a knight? Is that why he couldn't knight Raymond 2 episodes ago? Because he isn't a knight and he doesn't know the words? And is also why he asked Lionel why the gods favoured him if they don't favour frauds? Has he been keeping his lack of knighthood a secret to hopefully find a better life, just like Red is keeping her past as a prostitute a secret to find a better life? Oh, but then turns out Arlen isn't actually dead, so did he knight Dunk before actually dying for real? Who knows? What do you all think? Was Dunk knighted or wasn't he? Point number 16. Can't help but wonder if Arlen saying,
"A true knight always finishes a story,"
is a subtle dig at George R.R. Martin, who has been writing A Winds of Winter for over 15 years, and there's even meant to be one more book after that. Point number 17. I love the unique design of Beesbury's coffin. So unique, I can only assume a Beesbury always carries one around along with a couple of hives, just in case they end up kicking the bucket. Could you imagine if other houses shaped their coffins like their sigils? Stark coffins shaped like wolves, Tullys like a massive fish, Fossaways like a giant apple? Or would it be an apple pie with a corpse as the filling? Point number 18. So here is when Dunk decides to take Egg to Squire, but only if he stays a Hedge Knight, after hearing Aerion used to be a nice kid once, but growing up the way he did made him the way he is. With that, I don't think there's really any other connection between Daeron saying Aerion used to like fishing and Egg saying he likes fishing in episode 2 beyond just making Dunk think of Egg. Point number 19. Goddamn, Egg really wasn't kidding with wanting Aerion dead. Imagine what would have happened if Maekar wasn't here watching over Aerion. This show-only scene, in my mind, was included to show Egg definitely has a darker side. That him seemingly willing to commit fratricide at such a young age hints that one day he might become a mad Targaryen. Point number 20. Love Gwyn Ashford jump-scaring Dunk again just to say something unexpected and then walking off without another word, leaving Dunk like, what the heck was that about? Point number 21. It's nice we get to see what happens to Sweetfoot, since in the Hedge Knight, the last we ever hear about her is Dunk selling her. He never buys her back. Again, what a true friend Raymond is, buying Sweetfoot and trying to give her back to Dunk for free. He deserves that horse. In fact, Raymond coming out of meeting Dunk with a knighthood, a wife, a horse, and his own branch house disproves Dunk saying he brings pain and suffering to those around him. Point number 22. While Egg is technically correct that there are 9 kingdoms of the realm of Westeros,
Crownlands, Westlands, Stormlands, Riverlands, the Iron Islands, the North, the Reach, the Vale of Arryn, and Dawn.
Back when Aegon the Conqueror began his conquest of Westeros, there were in fact 7 kingdoms.
Westlands, Stormlands, the Iron Islands, the North, the Reach, the Vale of Arryn, and Dawn.
The Riverlands weren't a kingdom, but disputed land fought over and traded between the Iron Islands and the Stormlands. Both the Riverlands and the Crownlands were made kingdoms by Aegon the Conqueror. The Riverlands became a kingdom as reward for supporting his conquest, and the Crownlands was formed to support Aegon's capital, King's Landing. Also loved the touch of changing the title at the end to A Knight of the Nine Kingdoms, and I love the edits fans have made adding in the subtitle, "Will return in Avengers Doomsday." Point number 23. Can't believe they pulled a Furious 7 with Arlen on Sweetfoot riding off in a different direction to dunk an egg. I need fan edits with the Wiz Khalifa song "See You Again" playing over the scene right now. Point number 24. Maekar having not actually given Egg permission to go with Dunk raises so many questions and issues. This implies Egg didn't learn his lesson and has put Dunk in potential danger again by lying that his father gave him permission to be his squire. And in the second Dunk and Egg novella, The Sworn Sword, Egg says when Maekar agreed he could squire for Dunk, he told him to keep his hair shaved or dyed and tell no one his true name. And he also gave Egg a Targaryen ring to use when absolutely necessary to get out of difficult situations. Which implies in the book continuity that Maekar did in fact give Egg permission, unless novella Egg also lied, but then at no point are they found by Targaryen soldiers looking for Egg, nor is there any mention of, say, ravens or riders that have been sent out to every village, town, lord and lady, telling them to be on the lookout for Dunk and Egg. So in season 2, will Dunk learn that Egg lied to him again, causing Dunk to become disappointed with Egg again? Or maybe he already suspects Egg is lying to him, but is going along with it for Egg's sake, despite the danger it's putting himself in. I've seen many fans wonder if season 2 will include new scenes of Maekar looking for his son and Dunk. However, Maekar actor Sam Spruill has revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that he won't be returning for season 2. Though we should keep in mind that actors can lie, Kit Harington lied that he wouldn't be returning in Game of Thrones after the death of his character Jon Snow. Whether or not Maekar does return for season 2, showrunner Ira Parker has said in the Inside the Episode video for this episode on the Game of Thrones YouTube channel.
Unfortunately for Egg, Maekar said no, and Egg went anyway, so we'll deal with the repercussions of that down the line.
Point number 25. I was not expecting to hear the country and western song 16 Tons play during the credits of an episode of this show. Made me think we were going to see one of those Fallout end credit animations showing us some future location we'll see in season 2. Thank you all everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, and I hope you did, give it a like to let me know. And if you want to see more, then make sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much again for watching. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.